So what you can see over here is the screen that I'm presenting in front of you. These are some of the standard roles which need to be assigned if you want to use dock and appointment scheduling. Talking about yard management, we have seen the configuration for the IDOC ALE messaging from a shipment perspective. So we got stuck in terms of creation of the shipment data. But we'll continue the dock and appointment scheduling part, and we'll also continue with in terms of understanding what is the warehouse order creation rule, how it is being used, and how do we configure it. What is the requirement in terms of the condition record maintenance, and also we will see how it is being used from an outbound storage process perspective as well. So what happens in general is that from a dock and appointment scheduling perspective, what is exactly executed is planning of your overall appointments when it comes to the trucks being sent to the plant or the warehouse, availability of the docks. So you can block those docks, and then in advance, you would be understanding how much time it would take to do the loading or the unloading activity. Now, in order to understand that, we can use this advanced functionality in EWM. As I mentioned, there are also other third-party tools which are available in the market, which clients are using for their dock and appointment scheduling part. If it is a large organizations, definitely they would, and there are many trucks coming in for which they need to do the planning, definitely they would be using some or the other tool from their transportation planning perspective. Now, in order to maintain or in order to manage the freight charges of a particular vendor or carrying and forwarding agent, we also have an option to use the other SAP module, which is called SAP Transportation Management, SAP TM. Okay, so it can also be integrated with those those particular functionalities of TM can be integrated with EWM as well. So that is also another option. Or the other option is using the LETRA part, where we are creating shipments and we are using shipments to do the cost settlement of vendors. Okay. Now, when it comes to this dock and appointment scheduling, we need to understand that there are certain standard roles which are required to be mapped against the user IDs so that you will be able to execute all the functionalities of dock and appointment scheduling. Otherwise, if these roles are not assigned to the user IDs, then all the functionalities you will not be able to process. Okay, so this is one of the roles. Okay, so if you see the task of the administrator, so this is the role STWM/DAS_administrator. The task of the administrator for dock and appointment scheduling is to configure the dock and appointment scheduling system, to maintain the loading points and time slots, and to monitor the time slots. Okay, so if someone is at a manager level or at transportation planning supervisor, so that person can be assigned this particular role within the warehouse order plan. Then you've got one for specialist, you have gone one for clerk, appointment planner, technical role for dock and appointment scheduling integration to EWM, technical role for EWM integration to dock and appointment scheduling. So that there are two of these roles. So what I would do, so just now what I have done is I have assigned this role to my user ID over here. So if you see this dash administrator role, I've assigned it to my user ID. So similarly, what I would do is I will also assign the technical roles as well. Okay. So I've gone into PFCG. So right now this has not been assigned to any user ID. So I will use it against my user ID and save this. Similarly, the other one also I will assign. So one is DAS to EWM, the other one is EWM to DAS integration. Okay. Now, obviously, this activity which I'm performing over here, this you guys will not have access to in the actual environments that you'll be working in. So there will be a separate roles team which will be handling. So you need to give them these roles. So they will not be aware about these roles, because not everywhere people will be experienced of the exact roles which are required for dock and appointment scheduling. Now we'll start the process. Okay, so for that, what we will do, we will straight cut go to the NetWeaver application. So now the roles that I have assigned, you can see earlier these were not there. So all these roles have now come in. If you see over here, DAS administrator, TAS to EWM integration, EWM to DAS integration, and then document appointment scheduling specialist. Okay, so these are all the roles that I had assigned in PFCG in front of you, and these are the roles now which have come in the NetWeaver application as well. So if I click on DAS administrator, okay, so it will take me exactly to the things that I need to do the maintenance. Okay, so right from the master data part, creation of the loading points and everything, to creation of the time slots, that integration settings for document appointment scheduling. So all these things are maintained over, I mean, all the options will be coming over here. Okay, so just go one step back. So if I go to dash to EWM integration, so there is an additional, so what it says is that the user menu tree, so for this role is empty. So this is something that we need to check. But otherwise, all the necessary things which are there from an administrator perspective, it is there. Okay, so let us check this one as well. Even this one has the same thing. So we will, for this one, basically you need to work with your role team and then get it assigned properly with the user menu and everything. So, okay, so, but the specialist role should work. Yes, so over here you can see the specialist role comes up with the appointment management part, right? And also the specialist also has again got the master data part as well. And over here within the settings, if you just scroll down, so you will have the integration settings as well for document appointments, scheduling, as well as creation of the time slots. Now let us try to understand step by step what exactly are these different things. So when you are doing the configuration for document appointment scheduling, the first thing that needs to be configured is your docking location. Okay, so within one docking location, then you will be creating loading points. We will see it step by step how we need to do it. And within, after you assign these loading points, within the docking location and the loading point, the time slots need to be generated. Okay, so now if we go back over here, so basically what will happen is, now these can be defined, this GR zone 1, GR zone 2, GR zone 3 over here can be considered as 3 different loading points. Okay, and this will be under the same docking location. Now, if you have a docking location which is on the other side, now say, let's say, for example, this is where the one docking location is, and this particular area over here in the middle is your warehouse. Okay, so this is your warehouse, let's assume. And then again, the same area over here, you have over here as well. Okay, so this particular area over here can be defined as a different docking location. Okay, generally what happens is that the docking location has got time zones and all those things mapped. So when we are creating a docking location, we will make sure that for a warehouse, generally we will have only one docking location, generally. And then within that docking location, I can create multiple loading points with different time slots. Okay, so let's go and, so remember this GR zone, this particular area is the loading point, and this loading point comes under the docking location. This is not a docking location basically. Okay, so first we'll go to maintenance of docking location. So it's a bit slow, so please forgive me for that. So over here, I've already created one test docking location. Okay, but if you want to create completely a new one as well, that is also allowed. So you can directly create a new docking location. Okay, so what we can do is we'll just go back one more step, go to dash administrator, create docking location. Okay, so over here, let's say, for example, we create a new one, test underscore demo 1 demo docking location. Okay, So the slot duration. Now, what this slot duration means is when the truck comes in. So how much duration that you want to set the slots for? Because these slots will be available for view for the transporter, the carrying and forwarding agent or the vendor. So they can view the slots which are available. And based on that, they will set up the appointment, right? So you can determine based on the average amount of time that is required to unload a truck or to load a truck, the slots, right? Say, for example, I'm choosing 30 minutes. Okay, so here over here, the slot starts from 15 minutes, 30, 45, 60, 90, and 120 minutes, 2 hours. Okay, so you can choose any slot within this particular slot duration. Then the arrival lead time. So the arrival lead time, what it means is that before the truck is being slotted into the docking location or the loading points, how much of a lead time that the truck needs to come in and check in at the yard. So that is also very important. Remember that. Okay. So from that perspective, we need to give the lead time. So you can give it in terms of hours. You can give it in terms of minutes as well. So what I will do, I will just give it for 1 hour. Okay. Next is the time zone. Now, which particular time zone do you want to select? Okay. So let's see whether we've got IST or not. So it's not there, then we'll use CT for the Indian time zone. So it must be something different. Okay. And the country or region, let's say Poland. Okay. Or rather France. Okay. And over from here, you can choose what is the calendar that you want to be selected. So the factory calendar ID is being, you can also set the factory calendar ID based on this. So it will take all the public holidays and all those things into consideration. Okay. So let us select. So we chose for France, right? So let's see. What do we have for France? There's nothing. Is it case sensitive? Yes, it is case sensitive. Okay. So we've chosen the calendar ID for France as well. This number range that you see over here, now this is something that you need to define as a configuration in the SPRO window within the SAP GUI. Okay, so if you go inside over here, so within Extended Warehouse Management, you need to go to cross-process settings, and within cross-process settings, shipping and receiving, dock and appointment scheduling within shipping and receiving, and over here, the first node, define number range intervals for appointment numbers. Don't get confused. Although the number range is for appointment numbers, but still later on you will see that this is the same number range which is being used to generate your appointment numbers, right? So we are using this particular, I have set this number range up, and this is the number range that you guys can use. If you want to use a separate number range for your appointment numbers, you're free to create your own number range and just add the number range and make sure that the number range which you have created when you're creating your docking location, you are assigning that particular number range over here. Okay, so you're free to do that. There's no problem. Now, when it comes to SAP EWM integration, because remember, dock and appointment scheduling is a functionality which can be used with EWM, which can be used independently as well. It's not compulsory that you need to use SAP EWM. But generally, wherever EWM is being implemented, if the client wants to use yard management, based on the layout of the warehouse, based on the complexity of the number of trucks coming in and out, going in and out every day from the warehouse, the clients would decide, yes, we do need dock and appointment scheduling as well. And then what you would do, you will use the standard integration over here. So there is an option of no integration and standard integration. So we will go ahead with standard integration. Okay. Now over here, you can see determine restricted planning period hours before appointment. Now that means what it says is that before how many hours do we have the appointment slots open? Okay, I'm sure the best example for this would be in our day-to-day life. When you are, okay, so if you are using any cinema booking application like Book My Show, say for example in India, I'm sure all of you must have used Book My Show, right? So when you are trying, suppose it is around 1 p.m. right now, and I wanted to watch a movie, do an online booking for a movie which starts at 1:15 p.m. The show starts at. So will the system allow me? No, it will not allow me, right? Because there is a cutoff mark for the online booking time. Similarly, when I'm trying to, as a vendor, as a transporter, when I'm trying to do the appointment, book the appointment slot, then there would be a minimum cutoff mark before which I need to do the planning. Otherwise, they will not show me the slot for available within the next 1 hour. So that is how it works. Okay, so that is called the restricted planning period. Okay, so this you can do in terms of hours. It's not displaying properly over here. And in the next one is in terms of days. So you can actually set how many days in advance someone has to create an appointment, or you are keeping the appointment slots open for how many days in advance. So that is also something which you can control. Okay, and this control is at the docking location level. Okay, so I'm not being such a strict company. So what I would do, I've got many slots available. So what I'll do, I'll just maintain 1 hour over here. So till 1 hour before the appointment, the transporter still has the flexibility to go and book an appointment, to book a yard. So sorry, to book a loading point and a docking location within the plant. Okay, so I'll save this. Now, also there is an additional data of address data. So this is nothing but which contains the address. So this data, I'm not filling it up right now in the interest of time. You guys can do it. It's not mandatory. Okay. So once we are done with this, once we create the docking location, then when you go to maintenance of the docking location, from here, what you can do is create the time slots. Okay. So let's try to see over here. So, but before that, let us create a loading point again for our docking location. Let's not create a time slot first, because I don't want to use an existing, I don't want to create time slots for existing loading points. Let's create something new. Okay. So we had created a docking location for the demo purpose. So we'll create a loading point as well. So I will name it LP underscore demo 1. So demo loading point. So over here, you need to select the docking location. Okay. So the docking location, if you select, why is it important? As I mentioned, the loading points are always being determined within a docking location. So the moment you select the docking location, so the system has automatically taken the time zone from the docking location, the country and region code from the docking location, the EWM integration, the one which we have selected a standard integration, that is the one which has been copied from the docking location. And also the number range has been taken from the docking location. Okay. So all these things have been taken from the docking location automatically. And even if you see, the restricted planning period has been also taken from the docking location. So we've created a loading point now, LP underscore demo 1, and I'm going to save this. Okay. So if you want to make any changes within the docking location, you're free to do that. Or otherwise, if you are absolutely fine with this, so this particular docking location within the maintenance of the docking location, it is showing you the time slot, creation of the time slot options for the loading points. Now these loading points, we have just created one, but in general, there would be multiple loading points. So for every loading point, you can define the time slots separately. Now, which kind of scenario where within the same warehouse, we've got different time slots for different loading points. So as I mentioned, if you have defined certain loading points for specific materials, for specific customers, wherein the products which are coming in, say, for example, require extra handling time and all those things. So you can arrange the time slots, create those time slots accordingly for those particular specific loading points as well. So it's not generic that for all the loading points within a particular docking location, the time slot arrangement needs to be the same. Now, if you click on create time slots over here, a separate window will pop up. And then it will ask you for the loading point, which is this one automatically taken because we have gone in from the docking location maintenance view, and within that, the loading point is only one loading point. So it has taken this particular loading point. The start date is today's date. The starting time. Now, what does the starting time mean? The starting time means is at what point in time does the loading, can the loading start? So the first available appointment time is from what time? So I'll put it as 8 a.m. Okay. And then in terms of ending it, I will close it at, I'm closing my operations at 11 p.m. Okay. So this is, now since why is it like that? In most of the Indian warehouses that you would see, they are all 24/7 operating warehouses where people will be working across different shifts. Okay, if it's a large warehouse, where they're using dock and appointment scheduling and yard management in EWM. But from my experience in the European warehouses, although yes, if there is a manufacturing facility, the manufacturing facility will not shut down. Okay, so it will not shut down, but yes, what will happen is that you will be having a shutdown time for the overall dispatch activities as well as inbound activities from vendors. So the start time and the finish time will be set. Okay, so in Europe, generally by 5-6 p.m. itself, since you guys some of you are already there in that region, you would see that these kind of activities, the dispatch and the inbound activities would stop. Okay. Or maximum in certain warehouses I've seen, they will keep it till 11 p.m. So you can put the time as per the client's requirement or whatever they have in their system. Now, this maximum capacity, what it means is that how many trucks can be slotted at the same slot. Okay. So what I will do, so this is from a system perspective, it gives you maximum capacity from 1 to 50. So that means at the same time slot, how many appointments can you book for how many trucks? Okay. So the maximum capacity is 50. The system doesn't allow you to push in slots for more than 50 trucks at the same time. Okay. So I'll just put maybe 5, okay, not 50. And I'll just use this option of combining slots. So I'll explain to you later what does that mean. Okay. So the moment I click on continue, you would see that on the left side, the calendar pops up. And then on the right side, you've got the maintenance of slot capacity. Okay. So you see for 8 a.m., the capacity is 5 right now, because what happens is that till now, there is no appointment which has been booked for all these times. So all these slots are available. And that is for today's date, which is 31st of July. Now, if I want to copy the same capacity, because obviously, generally, it would be more or less the same thing. But in certain cases, say, for example, there is a public holiday wherein the operators are only working for half day, say, for example. Okay, in that case, you can manage the slots in advance and you can maintain it date-wise as well. There's no issue about it. Okay. But what we can do is also we can copy the capacity. So you can see I'm just selecting this and it is automatically updating the weekdays. So you can see since Saturday and Sunday is a holiday as per the French working calendar, so it has not considered Saturday and Sunday over here, if you see. Okay. So it has taken the weekend as off, and then it has copied the slots for the other dates till 6th of August. So once you're done with that, you save this. Okay. So the data is saved and the time slots have been generated successfully, right? So now the next important thing is you have created the docking location, you've created the loading point, you have maintained the time slots. So what else that you need to do, right? So from a settings perspective, there is a integration part that needs to be done. Okay, so if you go over here, Okay, so what has happened, guys, is this the integration settings for this doc and appointment scheduling part, which is so it is linked to a different S4 HANA system through which it is trying to do a remote call. Okay, so therefore it is not being able to open up the system. Okay, so it's trying to remotely call the SAP GUI and open up the system, but it's not able to do it. So this is based on the settings. But in general, over here, you need to go and maintain a particular setup. Okay. So what I will do is I will update the material that is there, and I will maintain that particular fields that you need to maintain over here from a setup perspective. Okay, because that is also important. Without that, then your integration part will not work properly. Okay, with EWM. You will still be able to create the appointments and all those things, but you will not be able to maintain the, we will not be able to have the integration part working. So basically what happens, the yard warehouse number, the docking location and the loading point, this needs to be assigned. Okay, so this needs to be assigned and this integration is important. Okay. So, but let me just check one thing quickly. So this did not open up. Let me go to the generic settings and see if the system allows me or not. Again, it is opening up the same thing. Okay, so in general, what needs to be done is you need to maintain the. I'll just show you over here. So we define a warehouse as a yard warehouse number. So this yard number, okay, then the docking location, and then the loading point. All these three need to be mapped together. Okay, so this is the setup basically. So it is basically assignment of docking location and loading point to the yard number, and that is how it is being mapped. Okay. Also, what you can do is you can also maintain the door assignment to docking location and loading point. So if you see over here, so this is opening up. So basically, it is giving us a dump in the backend. But this basically, as I said, that the RFC call interface has not been configured, because of which it is not showing up and doing the RFC call. But in the backend, this needs to be done in terms of the master data setup. Okay. So what we'll do, we'll go to the execution part now. So I'll just go one step out and I'll go to the specialist part. So we can go to creation of appointments. Now over here, we need to select the loading point. Okay. And once we select the loading point, you see, so let us take the requested duration for 1 hour. What you can do is you can use a reference document number over here. Okay. So this reference document category again is a configuration. So if you go to SP arrow, SAP reference IMG, shipping and receiving, doc and appointment scheduling, just scroll down. define reference document categories. So over here, you can add other document categories as well. Say, for example, you want to add inbound delivery, customer returns, whichever delivery document category that you want to add, you can push it over here. Okay. So purchase order is also possible. So if you select any PO, if you create a PO and then you can select the PO and then you can select that particular PO number. So the system is going to actually do a check, a cross check when that particular reference document is coming. Now, this is again something which is not fixed or mandatory that needs to be done. But yes, obviously, when you're doing an integration from a EWM perspective, you will be using all these functionalities as well. Okay. So you see over here, these are the slots which are available. So you see maximum capacity is being shown as 5, right? So I can actually try to book the slot whichever I want over here. I can select the slot. So now what it comes is that if I go to the, so you would see requested start date. I will put it as 31st. So this is basically your execution data, so that all these things will get started to will start getting populated once the truck physically arrives in the particular plant. Okay. So the reference documents, you can add it over here as well if you want to add any reference document. Okay, and this has all your administrative data. Okay, so let me try to save this first. So you can see the appointment over here, it is displaying now. Okay, so if I go to maintenance of appointment, so you need to select the docking location. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so this is the, so you can see this is our appointment time frame, right? So you can see over here that the slot, these are the different slots. So over here, it is showing that because there were 5 in total, the slots that we have created within 1 hour. So what has happened is that the planned arrival time, this is at 7 a.m. Why? Because the lead time of arrival, I had put it as 1 hour, right? And then you see it has consumed this 1 slot over here and 1 slot over here. Why? Because I have taken it as 1 hour. So it will be taking, so every 30 minutes, the slots are created. So if you see over here, sorry, every 1 hour, the slots are created. Yes. So so from 8:30 to 7:30, 9 to 8, 9 to 9:30. Sorry, every half an hour. Sorry. So then 10 to 10:30, 11 to 11:30. So every half an hour, there would be 5 slots available. Okay. So since I had mentioned that the planned duration is 1 hour. So if you remember, when I was creating the slots, I had activated that combine slots option. So what it did was it took 1 slot from here and 1 slot from here. It took 1 slot from 8 o'clock and 1 slot from 8:30. This is because I had activated that combined slots checkbox. And it has taken the capacity out of 5, 1 truck from this 5 capacity and 1 truck from this 5 capacity. Okay. So this is where you will be using the combination of slots basically. Okay. So now once the truck comes in, that is when you start doing the processing. Okay. So the processing part starts over here. Okay. So if you click on, again, select the, so this is the monitoring of appointments. This is not the processing, but okay, let's go inside. Okay, so what it is showing is that this particular appointment is there. This is the appointment number. So I have not given the transporter number, the carrier number. So if the transporter number is provided when you're creating the appointment, so it will show the details over here as well. And also the appointment status. So currently the status is in planned because the truck is not yet checked in. Okay. But when you go to processing of appointments, so you see over here, the first thing that is activated over here is arrival at checkpoint. Okay. So this is this arrival at checkpoint icon that you see over here. If you click on this, then the status will change from planned to active. Okay. Now certain master data is missing. Yes. So that's why the system is throwing me an error. So an appointment cannot be set to status arrival at checkpoint without a means of transport. Okay. So if the necessary master data is being maintained, that means the means of transport is also being assigned to it. Then if you click on arrival at checkpoint, then the appointment will be checked in. Okay. So if let us quickly go to the appointment. So without the docking location and the loading point check, it will not work as default. So we need to select the docking location and the loading point. This is means of transport ID, demo truck 1. Okay, let us do one more thing. Why should I not write my name as well? I'm doing so much of putting in so much of efforts. Ronnie driver. Okay. Now we go back to processing. Still, there should be a check. Let's see. Okay. Good. So it is showing it has arrived at checkpoint. So what exactly is a checkpoint, as we had discussed yesterday? So this particular main gate, I can define as a checkpoint. Okay, I can define it as a checkpoint in the system. We will see after this where exactly we need to maintain this and integrate it with the yard management. So this one, say for example, CHK1 checkpoint for main gate. Okay. Like this, if I've got different checkpoints, I can have multiple checkpoints within my warehouse. Sometimes what happens when I say multiple checkpoints, over here, there will be the basic checks. Then over here, again, before the parking yard, you will have checks for the truck and all those things. So you can have different checkpoints, right? So these are the standard, stages: arrival at checkpoint, arrival at dock, departure from dock, departure from checkpoint, and these are the reversals as well. Okay. So now can you do a cancellation of your appointment from here? You can do it, but if it has arrived at checkpoint, so what you need to do, you need to reverse the arrival at the checkpoint. Okay. So once you do the reversal of the arrival, it has come back to the planned status, and then you can cancel this appointment. Otherwise, this cancellation option will not be activated. Okay. So I'll just go back to arrival at checkpoint. Now this arrival at dock and all those things. So since the integration layer, we have not been able to set it up. So therefore, these ones are not getting activated right now. Otherwise, these ones would have also got activated for you. Okay. Let us look at some of the important configurations and master data that we need to maintain. Okay. Okay, no problem. So from a yard management perspective, so you've got this particular transaction where you need to maintain. So CICO is arrival and departure from checkpoint, and then Y move. So this is basically a transaction being used to move the vehicle or the truck or the container from one location to the other. Okay, so when I say one location to the other, that means from this particular area, the parking yard, to the loading area, suppose the loading location. Okay. Now, these loading locations that we have created and the docking location that we have created, the moment we create the docking location and the loading point, what happens is that in the backend in EWM, there is a supply chain unit which gets generated. Okay, so let us try to search for that. So we were using the docking location test underscore demo 1. Let's see whether it has been created or not. Test underscore demo 1. Yes, it has been created. So the moment you create it using the NetWeaver or the Fiori application. Now remember guys, the Fiori application roles I have not yet assigned. So therefore, the Fiori applications you cannot see. But I will check with ZaranTech team if they can actually work with their front-end team or the roles team to get those roles assigned. And then you guys will be able to access the Fiori applications as well. But nevertheless, don't worry. The NetWeaver interface, which you see over here, you guys must have already understood. This is basically calling the Fiori interface only. This interface that you see is the same thing. The only difference is that it will be available as an application like this, monitor appointments, process appointments like this in Fiori. That is the only difference. Otherwise, there's no difference at all. In the screen also, there's no difference. It's the same screen. Okay. Now, if you see the supply chain unit, so one thing that you see, the supply chain unit has been created with a different type. It is 1201. So 1201 is for docking location. Okay. And for our warehouse, the supply chain unit that we have created, it's a different type, right? So it's either a warehouse. So over here, you can select as warehouse, right? So you can select as production plan, you can select as distribution center, depending on the actual functionalities which are carried within that particular warehouse, you can select the type. And also, if you see over here, if you go to alternative, the business attribute which has been added automatically by the system is the DL, which is equivalent to docking location. Okay. Now, similarly, if you see the loading point, LP underscore demo 1. So if you go to the alternative, so the business attribute is LP loading point and the type is 1200, which was for loading point. Okay. So these things are automatically generated by the system the moment you create the docking location and the loading point. Okay. And this is how you process your appointments using dock-in appointment scheduling. So you can see the security at the main gate will be doing all these things: arrival at checkpoint, reverse arrival at checkpoint, departure from checkpoint, and all those things. So the arrival at dock functionality will be done by someone who is waiting over here for the truck unloading. So once the truck will come from this yard and will hit over here in the loading point and the docking location, so someone will activate the status. Okay, yes, the truck has arrived. So it has arrived at the dock. So once the truck is unloaded, again, it will move back. Now it will be going out maybe from this same gate, the main gate, or there will be a parallel area of the other area or other side of the warehouse, which will be for the exit. Okay, so again, everything depends on the layout and how the overall planning from a physical operations perspective has been done for that particular area or the particular plant premises, right? So once it leaves, then the departure from the dock will be done. And then once it reaches the exit gate and it moves out, the exit from the checkpoint will happen. Okay. So all those things can be done using this particular option in dock-in appointment scheduling. Now, the transportation unit. So since we are using all these functionalities, the same functionalities are also available at the TU level, the transportation unit level, right? So the transportation unit status will get updated once you keep updating the arrival at checkpoint, arrival at dock. All those things will keep getting updated at the TU level, which in turn will go and update the shipment if it is connected from ERP to EWM. If it is vice versa, it will finally go and update it in one shot. all the statuses and everything in ECC when it creates the shipment via EWM. Okay. So all these arrival at checkpoints, arrival at dock, all these things, these statuses are also available in your at the TU level, right? So if you go inside the TU transaction, so over here you see this checkpoints for door, checkpoints, the checkpoint arrival plus safe, all these actions are also over here. So when you look at the status of the TU, so what happens is that these actions also keep getting updated. Okay. So let's see whether this TU has got any status. Yes. So you see over here, if you click on the status icon, then these actions are also getting updated over here. I mean, first of all, the problem is that if you guys want to set this up in terms of documentation, not much is available. Okay. So make sure that you just follow these steps. It's not very complex. It's very simple. Okay. As I mentioned to you that the roles, as per the roles, you will have the accesses for all these different applications over here. Okay. So make sure that these roles that I have sent as a link, those roles are assigned to your user IDs. Only then you'll be able to view them in this separate buckets like this. Otherwise, you will not be able to use the complete functionality. Okay. But yes, it's very interesting. It helps us to give the client or the customer an end-to-end solution right from the moment the truck arrives. So we are just not doing the warehouse management part over here, how the goods are coming in, how the goods are moving out, internal movements, blah, blah, blah. But we are also managing how the truck is moving within the warehouse and the plant premises in a very efficient manner. Plus, from the warehouse level as well, you have so much of visibility. Where exactly the truck is, what exactly is the status of that particular purchase order or that particular sales order, say for example, right? So that visibility is amazing and you're doing the management at a very micro level right now if you're using these kind of functionalities. Okay, so there is a level of configuration that needs to be done as well when it comes to yard management. So the first thing that needs to happen is that you need to create a storage type for within the system and you need to define it as a yard storage type. Now let's go back to this diagram again. So if you see over here, I had mentioned that these are all storage bins, and I have mentioned that this is a storage type, yard storage type, within which we need to create all these yard storage bins. So depending on the layout of the warehouse, so we will be creating those many number of yard storage types first. Okay. So if you see over here, if you go inside this particular configure, sorry, let me just show you the part first. So you need to go to master data, and within master data, within shipping and receiving, you go inside yard management, and then you can see this option over here, define yard using storage type. Also, one thing that has come up into my mind, which I need to highlight over here as well, there is an additional functionality called yard logistics. Okay, so that is, don't confuse yard logistics with yard management. Yard management is different, yard logistics is different. Okay, so yard logistics is an additional module, sub-module, which needs to be, that particular license needs to be bought in by the client, and only then that particular module will start showing up on your screen. Otherwise, it will not. If you just buy an EWM license, even an advanced license, the yard logistics part is not included in that license. Okay, so yard logistics is a completely different module for which the license is sold separately by SAP. And that needs to be bought in by the client for you to check that. So that can also be integrated with dock and appointment scheduling, for which we create yard orders, yard movement orders, basically. But that is a completely different sub-module, and that is not included in your basic and advanced EWM. Okay, that is integrated, but it is not included as a part of your basic and advanced EWM. What we are going to talk about now is just basic yard management. So as I mentioned, for yard management, you need to go inside this node, and over here you have got the warehouses and then the storage types defined within the warehouse as a yard. So you can see for the warehouse 1710, which in general we are using to create our test data, there is no yard which has been defined. Okay, so what we can do is we can quickly define a storage type for our warehouse 1710. So in order to do that, so what I can do is I can just simply go to define storage types. Okay, and then I will just take this warehouse as a reference, yard. Since we saw that there is already a yard storage type created for this warehouse, I'll just copy this and I'll maintain it for my warehouse. I'll just quickly check what are the key things that are there. So the most important thing over here, if you, I'll quickly go inside again and see, is the storage type role. So the storage type role is G, which is yard. So make sure, so the yard, whenever you're creating a yard storage type, the role that needs to be selected for that particular storage type is G or yard. Okay. Rest of the things look fine. So the put away rules over here, which is maintained, is 5. There is no condition maintained for mixing or those kind of things. So that doesn't matter as well. Okay. And then we have a confirmation removal checkbox, and that's it. There's no other thing maintained within this particular control because this is basically a yard storage type. So the trucks will come in and out when we are using bins, when we are creating bins within this particular yard storage type. So we save this. Okay. Now the next important thing that we need to check is whether there is any storage bin which exists for the yard. Obviously, we need to create the storage bin, but let us check what are the existing bins. So I'll just, because I know many warehouses have not been configured for this, so I'm not expecting any number over here. Yes. So if you see over here, there is no particular bin which has been created in this particular server. So if it's not created, not an issue, we'll create it. Okay, so we go to LS01. So I'll just create one bin. So, but as I mentioned, if you guys want to do it like this, and you will have clients who will have multiple parking spaces which they want to define it as storage bins for the visibility purpose. So you will have to create separate storage bins within that particular yard storage type. Okay, so yard bin test, and the storage type is yard, and I'll just save this. Okay, so the yard bin has been created, the yard storage type is created. Let's go back to the configuration. Is the node open? No, it's not open. So I'll just use the same window. Okay, extended warehouse management. Just let us go down, cross process. Sorry, let's go back to master data first, shipping and receiving. Now we have done this. Now structure yard using storage areas. Let's see what exactly is this. Now, as I had mentioned, that whenever we are checking in, it is the check-in process happens against a particular checkpoint, right? And this checkpoint, in turn, you need to do the mapping as well. So for the warehouse 1710, you see there are no checkpoints which have been defined. Okay, so if you see over here, the checkpoints that have been defined are for this particular warehouse, CHK1, CHK2, then door 1, door 2, then parking space area north, parking space area south. Yes, this is a very good example, and you can use your checkpoints in this example. Because as I mentioned, there can be one checkpoint over here at the main gate, which is the main checkpoint. And from here, before the parking, there can be a separate checkpoint. So you can create as many checkpoints which are there based on the layout of the warehouse, you can create. Okay, so for me, I'm not going to put in so much of effort. I'll just simply use this. Okay, checkpoints created. Okay, so the creation of the checkpoint is a configuration. The creation of the yard storage type is a configuration. So over here again, you see these are the different from a yard management perspective. Again, these are maintained over here. So what I will do is we can maintain this, and we can skip this as well. That is, it's not a compulsory thing. So basically what is happening is that the arrival and the departure is only being done in two checkpoints, CHK1 and CHKS.
So therefore, only these two checkpoints have been defined. Okay, so I will also copy the same structure. That means there is one main gate for north entrance, and then there's one main gate for south entrance. So I have created that as well. Okay. So once this is done, let's jump into the master data part. So we'll not use this while move right now, because this is a yard management movement transaction. So before this, we need to look into what is the master data that is required to be maintained. Okay. So within master data, let's see if we find anything for shipping and receiving, and within yard management. Okay. So over here, you see the assignment of the warehouse door to the yard bin, and then the assignment of the checkpoint to the yard bin and the supply chain unit. So this is something which is important. Okay, so this is something which is very important, because if this is not there, then what happens is that your when you're doing the check-in, so the system is not able to understand which particular checkpoint it should consider it. Okay, so what we can do is we can do assignments over here. So why is it not coming up with the yard warehouse number? Okay, so for 1710, you see there is this checkpoint which has been created for north and south, and there are these two bins also which have been created. Now you can assign the warehouse process type, you can assign the door supply chain unit, and you can assign the loading point over here as well. The loading point is the loading point which we had created, if you remember. So we've got these two loading points, so we can assign these loading points over here as well. So this one we can simply put warehouse super. But generally we will be defining a warehouse process type which we will use. So 9999 does not exist in warehouse process type. Okay. So why 999 exists, I guess, for this warehouse. Yes, why 999. Okay, I select that. So there has been no supply chain unit for the door. That's fine. We can map the loading point over here. So the yard type has been pulled in from the storage bin level automatically, and you can just simply save this over here. Okay, I've just done it for one checkpoint, but you need to do it. You need to maintain this data for every checkpoint that you want to configure. Now, sometimes what happens is that in certain warehouses, they would expect the yard movements to be automatically triggered and confirmed, the warehouse task. So what you will do is that in that case, I'll just go back in. So the warehouse process type that has been configured over here, say for example, I create a new warehouse process type, and within the warehouse type, auto confirmation checkbox is there. Okay, so if you see over here, this confirm immediately option is there, so it will automatically do the confirmation once the warehouse task is created. So certain warehouses I have seen that requirement was there, that the yard movement warehouse type should automatically get confirmed. In those cases, you need to create a warehouse process type, do the configuration accordingly, and then assign that particular warehouse process type in the master data over here. Okay. Now this one. So for the yard warehouse, warehouse number, this one, these are the doors. Okay, and these are the so you can maintain against this, you can maintain the yard warehouse number as well. So right now for us, we have maintained this as 1710 itself as the yard warehouse number. It's not, so automatically you can just simply go ahead and maintain it against each and every door. Because at the end of the day, when you are doing the unloading and the loading, it's happening at the door level over here. Okay. So all these assignments need to be done so that the system can work from an integration perspective. It will understand, okay, so this is the loading point, this is the door assignment. As I mentioned to you today, when we were trying to do that assignment where the remote function call had failed, So that is the assignment that we need to do, right? So there is an assignment from a yard number, docking location, and loading point perspective. So this assignment is important, right? So therefore, those other functionalities which were laid out in the processing of appointments, those will be activated if those things are activated. I mean, if you maintain that master data. Okay. So from yard bin perspective, the bin was. Now this is something which you can, for every door generally, it will not be the same bin. It will be separate, right? So you'll be maintaining different bins so that you can identify. Because if I maintain just the same bin across all these different doors, so what will happen is that from a visibility perspective, I will not understand. I just understand it's lying somewhere over here at the stock, but I will not understand whether it is in this door, it's in this door, it's in this door. So obviously, I will be assigning separate doors, and I will be creating separate bins for that. Okay, but I hope that you guys understand that this is something that we need to maintain. Okay, so therefore, if you see, when you go inside yard management, the first transaction that is for the creation of the yard bins, basically. Instead of doing this like this step by step, you can just simply do an upload as well for all these yard bins in one shot. So that's much more easier. Okay, so finally, we have maintained the different bins against the different doors for this particular yard. From the TU perspective, so that we will check out tomorrow how, because once the shipment comes in, creates the TU, or we create the TU that in general creates the shipment, then only we'll be understanding how it is happening from a system perspective. Okay, but in general, so I've just created a transportation unit directly in EWM. So we've been able to assign this particular delivery to the transportation unit. So what I did is I'm directly creating the transportation unit. As I mentioned to you guys that I've not been able to add the delivery to the shipment. So I've not been able to work on that particular part of the data, but I will definitely be able to show to you tomorrow. Okay, so I'll work on it tonight, and I'll be able to show it to you. I didn't get time yesterday. Apologies for that. So if you're trying to create a TU, so the system is going to ask you for the means of transportation. I mean the mandatory fee. So you need also obviously you need to provide the vendor details and all those things as well. So I've not put in any carrier right now. So these are the different carriers which are available. So I've not used any of those carriers. So but for sake, let me just select one of the carriers. And then you can enter the TU license plate number as well. So the TU license plate number is the actual license plate number. So those details can be over here. Those details can be also in the vehicle part as well. So there are two things. There's a transportation unit and then there is a vehicle. So the vehicle has got more details regarding the vehicle, and which can be, if you see assign vehicles over here, you can assign that particular vehicle which has been created. So demo truck 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now, also one important thing that can be done is you can also select the route. So in this case, we have already the delivery also already would be having the route. So I'm not pushing any route over here. Okay. But generally, whenever the transportation unit is being created, obviously you'll be combining, you'll not be just sending one delivery. You'll be combining, if the quantity is not that big, you'll be able to combine the deliveries as per the different routes as well. Okay. So there are various conditions on which we do these combinations, but route is one of them, right? So now what I will do is I have now, after that, what I did was I clicked on the assignment of delivery and I assigned this delivery, outbound delivery document, and I will save it. So once I do that, what happens is that I'll just close this form view. You can see that the transportation unit has been created with a plan status. Okay. So this will only get activated once the physical truck comes into the warehouse. That means the check-in can be triggered now. Okay. So since this is an outbound scenario, that means the truck will come empty. It will not. It will be a unloaded or unladen truck. So what we'll do, assuming that the truck has come into the warehouse, that means it has reached the main gate. We will just simply do the check-in of the truck. So I go to action. The security. Let us assume that the security has done all the checks, and I click on arrival plus save. So once I click on arrival plus save, so what it is asking is enter yard warehouse number and checkpoint. Okay. So in the default values over here, the yard warehouse number is fine, and the checkpoint, if you remember, we had created two checkpoints for us to do the check-in. So CHK1 and CHKS, north and south. So I will just choose this and then again retry to do the arrival plus save. Because what it is saying is that the system doesn't know the truck is arrived in which particular checkpoint. It is in the main gate in the north or in the main gate in the south. Okay. Now you see the status has changed from plan to active. Okay. At this point in time, this information is still within EWM. Okay. Now let me quickly jump to the EWM delivery transaction. So I'll just copy this delivery just to avoid the other deliveries so that we don't get confused. Okay. So from the delivery level as well, now the transaction we have already disclosed in the very first session for the outbound delivery, it's PRDO. So from here as well, you can access the transportation unit. So if you click on the item level, the transportation unit tab, you would see the transportation unit details. Now this is coming. So if you see the license plate number is the same one which we had just created. This is the same TO number. And if you click on this particular item over here, it will take you to the same T code which we were there earlier, which is /SCWM/TU. So this is a shortcut. Instead of punching in the transportation unit, if the delivery already has transportation unit assigned, you can go through this particular route as well. Okay. Now you can see that there are different stages and actions like loading, unloading, goods issue, and all those things which are over here. Okay. So for this particular delivery, the picking is yet to be started, and let us see what are the items over here that we. So there are two items, S401 and S402. Let us see who has created this. Okay, so it has been created by me itself. Okay, great. So hopefully we'll be able to pick this up. We go inside warehouse task. So these are the two products that I need to pick. Let's click on create plus save. So my expectation is that the system should be able, if the stock is there, the system, it has been able to successfully create, and the system has created this warehouse task based on the storage type search sequence that we saw for outbound that needs to be configured and which has been maintained in the EWM product master. So the storage type search sequence needs to be maintained against the stock removal control indicator in configuration, and that in turn has been mapped to the EWM product master, right? So it has created two warehouse tasks. So one warehouse task for each line item. So let's see. So for the warehouse order, which has got created for both the warehouse tasks, is just one. So that means the picker will be the same person. So generally the warehouse order is assigned to a picker, and the picker is using this warehouse order. The items within the tasks within the warehouse order are being confirmed by the picker. Okay, so since we have got one warehouse order for the two line items, that means the same picker will be idealistically confirming the task and executing this particular activity. So the warehouse order creation rule, this is something we will cover for. It has been determined by the system, is Y002, activity area is Y021, and this is the QY021E31, which has been determined by the system. And if we go and see within the warehouse tasks, so first of all, the warehouse tasks which have been generated are product warehouse tasks. That means we need to select the source handling unit and the destination handling unit, whether now we have to create the pick issue. So that is something that we will check. Okay. So first I'm going to show you the manual way of doing it. And then in tomorrow's session, we will also cover the RF way of doing it. So we will use the Fiori application for RF, and we will do the picking using the RF application as well. Okay. But first, let us try to understand the manual way, because you need to know the fundamentals first before you jump into the Fiori part. Okay. So over here, you can see this is the warehouse task. The source bin has been determined by the system. So we need to now go into the source bin. So I will open up the EWM monitor. So obviously, since as a forklift operator, so what will happen is that the operator will reach the source bin and he can choose any handling unit for that particular product from that bin, because the handling unit has not been predetermined by the system. It's a product warehouse task, right? So what we will do, we will now go to the storage bin, this one, 211102, and we will execute. Okay, and then the product is EWM S402. So I go to physical stock. Okay, so we've got this particular product over here, and this product is not packed actually, right? So that means what has happened is that the configuration for this is done in such a way that if I simply, because it has not been packed, but the system should expect me to create a picking handling unit. That means the item is available as a loose quantity, but I need to pick it up and I need to pack it into a particular pallet or into a carton or into a box and then send it to the customer. So let me see whether the system allows me to do it or not. So it should throw me an error. So let's see. So if I just, okay, so there is an error message. Let's see what exactly it is. So it is asking for a picking handling unit as expected, right? So what we need to do now, we need to create the pick handling unit. So to create the pick handling unit, again, as I mentioned, in the RF interface, it's going to be different, and in the in the manual interface, it is going to be different, right? So let us create a pick issue. So this is, let's see whether this bin, this pick issue. Now let us click on form view first. So we need to do it task by task. So automatically the system has taken the pick issue, right? So this is one. And then for the next task, so I can either create a new pick issue over here by simply selecting this create button over here and where I need to enter this packaging material, or I can pack it into the same issue. So now done. So basically I have generated two pick handling units, two separate boxes. I'll be sending the material in these two separate boxes, but I can also use the same pick issue as well. Okay. And now once I do the confirmation, the system should be able to confirm the warehouse task. So the warehouse task has been confirmed now. Okay. So now the thing is, we have done the confirmation of the warehouse task, and the warehouse task has landed up where? So let's see that. So it has landed up in this particular destination bin by A31. So it is into a packing work center basically. So now this packing work center, if you see over here, the storage process has been triggered. The process-oriented storage, if you guys remember, we had gone through POSC and LOSC. So the storage process has been triggered for this, right? So it has now gone into the destination bin for the packing work center, and which is within the storage type by A31. Okay, so let's first check the two handling units that we have created. It is lying in which particular bins. Okay, so if we click on the HU, so these are the two handling units. So I find this as an easier option as compared to the EWM monitor. So I generally use this, but it's up to you which one you want to use. You can use the EWM monitor as well. Okay. So I'll just push in these two HUs. Now, so both of them are lying in this particular bin. So since this is a POSC step, so the expectation is that from the system that there should be there is no open warehouse task for these handling units. You see this is blank. That means the system is expecting us to complete the step, and then from there onwards, it will trigger the next step from the packing work center. So we have picked the material from the rack as a picker, then put it into two boxes, and then we are going to push it to the packing work center now. Okay, so let's go to the packing work center. To go to the packing work center, we need to go to swim pack. Okay, let us push in. So let's see for Y831, which is the work center. Okay, so we've got Y831 defined as a work center as well. Perfect. So we go to handling unit, push in the two pallets, and execute. So we see these are the two items which are there, right? So these are the packaging steps. So what we can do is we need to complete this particular activity, right? So over here you see these are the ones. So it's basically defined as packing steps, and these are the two handling units. So what I will do is, let me see if I can close them. So on closing, since the process-oriented storage control is mapped, there are two new warehouse tasks which have got created, 5420 and 5421.